Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Fiz Show on KBN TV. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Chansa Ahrunmwunde, and I will be your host for the Fiz Show today. In the studio with me, I have Miss Diana Sichone from the Securities and Exchanges Commission, and she will be talking about all things securities. So welcome to the show, Diana.
Thank you very much.
So for the sake of our viewers, please can you tell us your role at the SEC?
So I am the Commission Secretary as well as the Director Enforcement and Legal Services. Okay. So I am the one responsible for ensuring that the securities market is kept safe.
Okay.
So we undertake legal services, enforcement services, as well as the company secretarial role at the Commission. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what I do.
Great. That's a very robust role.
It is.
Okay, so Financial Insight imagines your role was a key input for the launched capital markets plan. Are you able to give us a little more insight into which areas in the plan fall under your jurisdiction and how the rollout is going from your perspective?
Yeah, so the Capital Market Master Plan, which was launched a few weeks ago by the President of the Republic of Zambia, has got 5 key pillars. Okay. So the one that's most directly related to my role at the Commission is the one on the enhancing of the regulatory framework. Okay. However, when you look at that pillar, it is cross-cutting because it looks at reform. Okay. So reform is cross-cutting, whether you're looking at the bond market, new products. Yeah. So it's a very critical pillar because it looks at how do we enhance the regulatory framework. Okay. So it has to do with a lot of issues such as looking at policy and fiscal reforms. Okay. It will look at tax incentives, double taxation agreements. It will also deal with the protection of minority shareholder interests and as well as protection of foreign investor interests. Because sometimes you find that foreign investors are not very comfortable investing because they think that
what will happen to their
investment? Yes, it can be nationalized or compulsorily acquired. Exactly. So all that has to be factored in, and that pillar has to ensure that all those are done. So in terms of the rollout, we have come up with a working group which is called Fiscal Policies. Okay. So it has a wide range of membership. Because you can imagine that the Capital Markets Master Plan has got implementation at all levels, from government, private sector, and even just up to the individual level. Yes, exactly. So it's wide-ranging. So in terms of the implementation, we will start with the working group and then see how it goes from there. Okay. So from the way it was launched, it's on track.
Oh, that's good. So far, so good, right?
So far, so good.
Okay, that's good to hear. And also, there's a bill before Parliament right now that seeks to update the Securities Act number 41 of 2016. And one of the objects of the bill is to implement a risk-based approach in the supervision and regulation in the capital markets. Why was this risk-based approach chosen, and were considerations made regarding the developmental stage of our capital markets?
Okay. First of all, I would like to announce exciting news that it's no longer a bill.
Okay.
It was actually passed in December. Okay. And assented to by the President, so it's now law.
It's now law.
So that amendment has been effected, and you're right. One of the amendments deals with risk-based supervision. And when you look at risk-based supervision, it's international best practice, but we went a step ahead to make sure that we legislated it, so which gives it legal backing, and then so it puts us ahead of the curve for most of the jurisdictions that are implementing risk-based supervision, because for us we have it in our law. But when you come to the CMMP, its importance is that you look at risk, and everybody has to look at risk, because you can't have resources that can be used everywhere at the same time. That's not an efficient way of utilizing resources.
Absolutely.
So when you look at it from a risk-based supervision perspective, you make sure that you put resources where they're needed the most, where investors need protection the most, so that's where we apply them. So that is how we have been able to implement risk-based supervision.
Okay. That's very interesting, and it's good to hear that it's passed into law now. Yeah, and I guess I need to amend my notes. It's no longer a bill, so the law provides for parameters that seek to provide visibility, right, for not only capital markets but also individual investors. What circumstances, if any, would the SEC need to come in to vet individual investors, for instance?
So vetting is quite a new thing on the market, especially in the capital markets. But it's not every investor who needs to be vetted. In terms of the amendment that has been put in place and is now law, because it looks at a substantial shareholder. So a substantial shareholder is one who owns at least 15% of the stock of a company. So if you own 1%, 0.05%, you don't need to get worried.
Exactly.
The reason why we've put in place vetting is because, we're living in a globalized environment where things like money laundering, terrorist financing are rife, and capital markets cannot be spared, so they can be used. So we need to know the source of funding. Where is that investor getting the funds to come and invest in the capital market? So we need to know where the source of funds are. So if you own 15% and above, or you acquire 15% and above, then you'll be subject to that framework.
Okay, all right. No, that makes sense. I mean, I guess what people's concern was, they thought it was just a blanket thing for every shareholder, and it did seem a bit excessive. Somebody owning 0.5% and then needing to go through all of that vetting, right? It would be a bit discouraging to enter the capital markets, but it's good to know that it's from a substantial shareholding perspective.
Very true.
Yeah, okay. All right. And there's also another aspect that seeks to regulate private funds, right? What was the motivation, and are you certain deeper regulation in this aspect will increase participation in the creation of private funds or discourage people from creating private funds?
So private funds are quite an interesting and important aspect of our regulatory framework. Prior to the amendment in December, we used to have, the law only provided for venture capital funds. But venture capital funds is only one small component of private funds. So you find that it excluded social venture funds, it excluded hedge funds. But generally for private funds, they are more, I could say, a bit risky than the regular products that are in the capital markets. So they are more tailored for those that we call sophisticated investors. So those are people that have the experience. They know what to look out for, what risks are there for any product. So when you want to invest in such a product, you need to be a sophisticated investor. So it's not
like
for
a blue
everybody.
chip investor.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not for every investor on the market. So there are protection mechanisms that are put in place so that those that are not as sophisticated are not burnt, because you really need to know. Because you know some of these funds, you find that maybe this is when it's just a startup. So there's so many risks for startup. It can fail, or it can work very well. So it depends on what you see as value in that company. So you have to be a sophisticated investor.
And most of the time, it takes other people to see the risk than
Very
the
true.
other person, so it's always good to have that in there. Okay, that's good. So Financial Insight is very excited about the Q1 2023 performance of our capital markets. From a high level, how would you say our capital markets performed in comparison with the same period in 2022? So let's say Q1 2022 and Q1 2023.
Okay. So we have seen on the market that over the past year, there's been very, very good growth. the trajectory has been positive.
Okay.
Just giving an example of the Lusaka All Share Index, because that's one of the indices that we track.
Okay.
You could tell that by the first quarter of 2022, it was around 6,400.
Okay.
But now it's just above 8,000.
Oh.
So already
Growth of 2,000.
there's so much growth, because an index, the LASI, the Lusaka All Share Index, it's a combination of stocks. So we are able to track the development and growth of those companies that constitute those stocks.
Okay.
So you can see from that there's been growth.
Okay.
In addition, we do have a tracking mechanism that compares the same index I've mentioned, the Lusaka All Share Index, as well as comparing other indices like the US dollar, Zambian kwacha rate. We look at the government bond. You can see from the graph that is showing that the trajectory has been, the LUSE All Share Index has actually outperformed all these other indices.
Really?
So that is why we think that the capital markets, over a long-term period, you can see that even the graph that is showing, is showing a long-term view.
Okay.
And that's what capital markets is all about. It's
Yeah,
long-term.
Yeah.
But then in the past year, it has shown very, very good performance. So the market has done very well.
Okay, that's really good to hear and very encouraging,
Yeah.
right? Especially for a lot of people, there's a lot of buzz around the capital markets plan and all of that. So a lot of people are now starting to think about investing in the stock market and that
Yeah.
sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's very good to know all this information. Is there a place that people can go to just go and look at information and just learn a little bit more about the capital markets on their own as they start to think about it and start to think about it as an investment vehicle? Because previously it was only left for the elite, so to speak, the ones that would know about it, but now it is layman talk in the streets. So is there a place that you can direct people to go and read more about the plan and get a little bit more information before they start to invest in the capital markets?
Okay, so before I talk about where people can go, people have got 20% now. They withdraw, so they have a bit of money.
Yes.
So invest it wisely.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I would encourage those NAPSA people payees that have gotten the 20%.
Yeah.
Take part of it and invest it in the capital markets, because you can see from like the trajectory that we have shown even over the past year, actually over the past 10 years, you will be able to see that the Lusaka All Share Index has outperformed all the other indices. So if you kept your money in the stock exchange or in the capital markets, it will perform much, much better over the long period of time.
Yeah.
But then when you want to get to know more information about the capital markets master plan, about where to invest, what stocks to invest, first of all, you can come and visit our website, which is www.seczambia.org.zm. So that is the first point of call, and we have links to the exchange, we have links to the Ministry of Finance, because you know that the CMMP is anchored by the Ministry of Finance. Yes, so we have the links there, so if you want, then from there you can know where do I find the brokers, because we won't tell you what to invest in as a regulator.
Of course.
But then at least when you visit our website,
but at least you're giving unbiased information.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you visit our website, you find all that information that you need, and it's a good step to start with. So even the plan itself, you can download it from our website. It's there, so you're able to see the plan over the 10-year period that we have proposed and what we intend to achieve at the end of the day.
Okay. That is great. It's very exciting, and like I say, it's a very exciting time for Zambia now.
It is.
On a lot of fronts, especially on the economic front. Things like indices and everything. Previously, we just used to hear about the New York Stock Exchange. The closest thing we have to home is the Johannesburg, Stock Exchange. But it's very nice to see that the Lusaka Stock Exchange and the capital markets in Zambia is starting to gain the recognition that it deserves, and that's the only way that we'll be able to boost the economy and grow the economy, right? So well done. everyone, to your team and your organization for this very forward step in the right direction. Do you have any final remarks for our viewers today?
Yes, I do. We have talked a lot about the Lusaka Stock Exchange, but the capital markets offer more than just stock and bonds. They have so many products. We are looking at sustainability. We're looking at, we're promoting green bonds, for instance. So we're encouraging the issuers out there who would be interested in raising a green bond towards a sustainability project, because you have to do something for the environment. And looking at the way climate change is now, it's very important that you look at ways of sustainably raising funds. So we do have those products. Come and see us if you do need more information about what you need to do to raise money for a climate-related project. So there's so many products. We have the sandbox framework in case you need to test your product in a very safe environment. You can come and see us as well about that. So there's so much exciting stuff that's going on at the Commission. So you're free to visit us and come and learn more about the capital markets from us. And with respect to the CMMP, we are urging every single Zambian to come on board, because this is your plan and its implementation and success is dependent on you. So we expect you to also be active and to make sure that together we'll make it a success and make it happen. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Diana, for being here. It's been a great pleasure speaking with you and learning a bit more about the capital markets and what the SEC is doing. To our viewers, you heard it firsthand. So if you have any more questions, you know exactly where to go. But thank you very much for tuning in. We ask that you continue to support and continue to follow us on our different social media platforms, and stay tuned for the next episode, because you're guaranteed to get the best guests on here. So Financial Insight Zambia is here for the economic growth of Zambia and bring you unbiased financial news in Zambia and around Zambia. Thank you for tuning in once again.